Welcome back to Birds of a Feather. This is your girl AJ, the Suburban Princess here, ready to talk some post Super Bowl new season sports talk with someone who I've found on TikTok, Twitter, everywhere. And Homegirl knows her stuff. She makes the funniest clips on TikTok. I like talking to more females at this point because let's just be real. We know what we're talking about. I don't care what y'all say. And please welcome a new friend, hopefully, Simone.
What's up? Thanks for having me.
All right, Simone. So at this point, I've finally gotten over my depression from the Super Bowl loss, but I've decided that watching some of this combine footage is actually a little exciting. I don't know if you've been following through with it, but there are a lot of good wide receivers, tight ends, and stuff. The quarterbacks look great. Have you watched any combine footage? And if you have, what are you feeling?
I'm feeling good. I see a lot of talent where we need it the most, in my opinion, in the draft at cornerback. And then on the defensive line, it seems like it's just depth in this draft, in the first round of the draft at defensive line, specifically at defensive tackle, where I think we need to be bringing some more pieces in. So I'm just excited that our position needs
Mm-hmm.
is plenty of options there at corner and on the defensive line.
Mm. That's what I was excited about too, especially because some of those times for some of the runs, that one DB obviously who had a what was it 4.67 or who was the fastest? I
The
know I just saw it.
Christian, I don't know if he was the fastest, but Christian Gonzalez definitely had overall the best day.
Yeah, yeah, and I know the DBs. I was putting some clips on our co-ed editions Instagram page as well as my own. She talks ball, and I just thought about it, and I said, you know what? Either way, the top 10 is just going to be interesting, no matter how you
Right.
look at it. There's obviously going to be quarterbacks because I've even seen Anthony Richardson made a lot of impressions yesterday, as well as the controversial thing with Will Levi, I guess, because his arm or he had an accident or something, or
Yeah.
he's had some issues with injuries. But I'm more intrigued about who is going to back up Jalen Hurts as far as Eagles. I really obviously don't see the point of keeping Gardner Minshew, but even if you
Right.
have a third stringer that's even worthy of watching, they can get rid of Ian Book too. I don't know if I'm sure you've been catching up on who's been gone, who is possibly on the trading block and or being released. But come March 15th, who are you expecting to not see on the Eagles roster?
Oh, this is gonna be super, super tough.
Yeah, it's gonna be
I
a
mean,
hard day.
automatically, I just hate seeing I just hate free agency because I hate seeing, guys in another team's uniform. But just off rip, I feel like the big elephants in the room, James Bradbury and Miles Sanders. I don't think either one of those guys are going to be back. I'm fine with Miles Sanders departing. Obviously, love Miles Sanders. Wish he
Hmm.
could stay, but I mean, he outpriced himself of what I'm willing to pay for a running back when I feel like Howie, and we haven't even heard any news of us having any discussions with Miles Sanders. The only free agent we've heard, or I've heard so far of us having discussion with is Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. So I feel like Miles Sanders is going to be gone early, quick. James Bradbury is going to be gone. He's going to
Hmm.
be costing too much to be for us to pay really anybody else. All our money would really be going to James. So
Hmm.
those two guys I see in some other colors next season.
Honestly, I'm more worried about, and I don't think it's going to happen, but I wouldn't be shocked. But seeing Brandon Graham possibly even not return, or if
Right.
Kelsey did decide to retire, that's going to be obviously the two most crucial losses.
Right.
I'm not feeling some either way, honestly, about Fletcher Cox, and it's not because I didn't think he was good. I just think that also he kind of just punched in a good journey and has been helpful up until obviously this most recent years because Fletch was always that dude, but I think within the last seasons or two, people would say he fell off, but I just think that there was just more going on around him that started to obviously push through, like Hargrave.
Right.
So I'm not one of these people that can't wait for Fletch to leave, but I'm either or with Fletcher Cox returning. I obviously don't think it's going to be a long contract if they do bring him back.
Right.
I'm not even sad about Miles because I kind of had my doubts about him 2 seasons ago. I'll be honest with you because I think we
Yeah.
all know that he has the issue with the north and south running, and kind of
Mhm.
not really being the pass catching running back. But the one thing I will bring up about the Super Bowl, I'm sure you agree too, is that obviously Kenny Gainwell had another gear out of nowhere during the Super
Yeah.
Bowl. He kind of had what a Corey Clement had during the Super Bowl year in 2018. So what do you feel like with the running backs that they're talking about now that the Eagles have already even had meetings with? What do you think is probably our strongest need regarding running backs besides the obvious running style? We obviously need a big one, right? I mean, wouldn't you
Yeah.
agree? That's really what we need is size and, blocking ability.
Yeah, miss tackling ability, blocking ability, bruiser, every down because we are definitely running back by committee. So even if, which I think we can all agree, Miles is probably isn't going to be here. I don't think the question is whether I hear people debating is Kenny Gainwell a running back one? Can he carry the load? We're going to have a mix of running backs regardless
Mhm.
if Miles stays or Miles goes. So whether Kenneth Gainwell is the lead back or not, it can't just be going with, we can't just go into the season with Kenny and Boston Scott. We still have to add someone into the mix just because of the way that we do like to share the load and share the carries. So I definitely see us getting a running back, whether it be free agency or the draft. I definitely can see it in the draft just so we don't have to spend that money in free
Mhm.
agency and save some money there. But I definitely see us coming out of April, I guess, whether it's a free agent running back or a drafted running back, somebody adding. And I really like Kenneth Gainwell, someone adding to
Me
the
too.
mix.
Me too.
Mhm.
I agree because I think even he was even more impressive his rookie year, honestly, compared to this
Right. If
year.
he got more carries, yeah.
Exactly, yeah, and I think that the thing with Kenny that we can all say, no matter how many times I saw people, like, kinda killing him this season, I mean, you have to consider how the scheme kinda was more geared toward the wide receivers anyway. So, the running backs were only gonna be useful when obviously, when AJ got hurt a little bit or if Devonta, got hurt. Um, I think the biggest decline too in terms of wide receivers, which is why this draft is important too, is that Quez Watkins didn't answer the call this year
Right.
like we thought he was. I mean, honestly, I don't know if it was confidence, lack of concentration, but for some reason he had so many important balls that slipped through his fingers. Um, do you think they're gonna keep Watkins or bench him as far as like, making him be keeping him on the bench just in case we don't use him as a third or fourth? What do you think his position will be as far as staying on the team?
Well, honestly, I'm in the same situation where I'm kind of disappointed in Quez Watkins, especially being on the team as long as he had. I know he didn't get as many targets early on as he did, when Nick Sirianni came. But Quez Watkins, we could save money if we trade Quez Watkins. We can get a draft pick and save about $2 million from Quez's contract, which could go somewhere else, somewhere more important. So I'm definitely seeing the money opportunity there out of Quez Watkins and then flipping him for a draft pick because we don't have that many picks right now in the draft.
Mhm,
First round, we got 2 picks, we got a second, a third, and then 2 seventh round
mhm.
picks. So we could get another third round pick, fourth round pick, fifth round pick, whatever it is, and save the $2 million from cutting ties with Quez. It's just Quez, this was supposed to be that year for Quez,
Yeah,
and it
I
was
agree.
just so many missed opportunities throughout the year. And Quez just hasn't really shown that much development in many areas and footwork average, blocking average, hands average, route running average. And it's like, okay, you're a burner, you got speed, but it's a lot
Right,
of dudes with just straight up speed that we can get
right.
in the fifth round or the fourth round and save $2 million.
And I think the thing, even besides the obvious cost of it, is just the fact that okay, do you think that in this being a second or third or whatever year, I'm just thinking at this point you should be putting that stuff together at this point. And I feel
Exactly.
if you regress, I don't care if we got AJ, it shouldn't make you feel like you have to pull back as opposed to want to play harder. I think the most obvious flaw with him was that he was letting defenders get in front of him, which kind of ticked me off a lot during the season because I'm just like, how you gonna let that guy beat you to the ball?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, that kinda shocked me. I mean, Devonta's skinny as hell too, but he came back with, like, a little bit more muscle, and
Right.
homeboy was literally, like, practically this close to breaking joints just to get the ball inbound. So, to me, that just shows you it's a state of mind because if there's one thing we love about Devonta is the fact that he has no fear in him, which I love.
Exactly.
I'm just nervous about him when he gets bent in half by somebody because he's so thin,
Exactly.
but
Me too. I'll be like, don't break them.
please don't break them. But, also too, I think the things that have come out now since the season wrapped is the obvious, social media fuss that started to boil up with, Juju, talking smack on Twitter, which normally wouldn't annoy me. I think the thing that only annoys me about it is that him and AJ were going back a little bit too much. Like, it got to the point where I think AJ tweeted one more time this past week, and I just said, "All right, kill it. Like, it's dead now."
Right.
Like, you make too much money, you're too important for us to be fussing with somebody like him. Like,
Exactly.
he's just happy he got a shot in the third or fourth quarters anyway. Nobody was thinking about him until he started getting, some he started getting free.
Exactly.
What do you think now, especially after that? Like, obviously I'm not worried about AJ as far as like getting disciplined or anything stupid like that. But why do you think, especially with sports media and especially what's been popping off in the NBA realm with Ja Morant, why do you think it becomes such an issue with players and tweeting back at each other? And do you feel like it pulls away from the overall, point of social media? Like, it's really not supposed to be something you're supposed to be warring words with people. Like, it's too insignificant. What are your thoughts on like players and social media and beefs and stuff?
I could definitely see it. Like, you're on the field, y'all chirping all the time. Y'all, I mean, it could be beef that they had even before the game that we didn't even know about, and
Right.
then that, tick something off or whatever. Me personally, I wouldn't have gave it as much as attention as, like, I know Slay's been going back and forth with some
Mhm.
people, AJ's been going back and forth. I personally would not, but I mean, I've never been in their shoes. So,
True.
sometimes somebody could just take you to a point where you just ready to talk, because we know at the end of the day, AJ is a way more valuable individual player than
Yeah.
Juju is. Juju was barely in the league before he got picked up by the Chiefs. And if it came down to it, we know that the Chiefs would much rather have AJ on their team than Juju. So it's
Then
kind of like,
Juju.
just stay in your place.
Right.
You're a role player. You got carried to this ring. So stay in a little boy's place. Basically, I saw Darius Slay was said something like, because Kadarius Tony had said something, and Darius Slay was like, "You're not even old enough for me to be talking to." Like,
Right, right,
it's just
right.
little boy energy. Like, act like you've had something before. Act like you've done something before.
I agree, and I think that's like it's even one thing after when we had the first Super Bowl win, and nobody felt the need to be chirping like that because we knew how long it's been since the Eagles had a shot at a championship and actually won it. I think the shock of even the Eagles even placing in that and putting themselves in that position with a backup quarterback, there's no need to have to put that energy out there. You know
Exactly.
what I'm saying? And I think that, and not to act like everybody's above it, because obviously we're all not. I'm guilty of talking mess too. But I think the difference is that I don't have a huge contract, and I'm not caring, I'm not support my family with
Yeah.
money by working, risking my life and my job. Now, switching back to the NBA, just because I want to discuss what is going on with John Morant, just because I'm worried about this becoming a trend with him being so young and being on the Grizzlies, who basically have been getting a lot of negative press lately for a team that
Right.
has come out of nowhere and been really successful. Have you been
Hmm.
following any of the John Morant stuff? I mean, obviously I'm a Sixers fan, but at the same time, I just kind of it made me kind of go, "Are you really going to do this?" As much as he shows his little girl, and dancing on the court,
Exactly.
my first thought was like, "Homie." Like, and I get it. Like you said, I don't know a situation. I know that a lot of brothers with money start tripping like this when they start feeling pressured. And I just want to know, what are your thoughts as far as John Morant's future? Do you feel like this is something he can overcome, or is it something that might scar him in the future?
I definitely feel like it's something he can overcome. I think he just needs to have some. I don't know who he has around him, but he has some people with a stronger influence that could be letting him know like how costly his decisions are. Like, you see people all the time, like from the NFL and the NBA, just growing up, who might have got out of the league for just many different reasons, whether it was back in the day weed, or even now weed, drugs, violence, gang activity.
Mhm.
You see people come in and out of the league for so many like self-inflicted things that they've done that had nothing to do with the game. So
Right.
it's not like he doesn't understand the risks. Like I said, he's had to seen examples of other guys who couldn't stay in the league, whether it's NFL or NBA, because
Mhm.
of off the court and off the field things. So honestly, I don't know what it is. It's very perplexing. It's very perplexing with him, especially because of his age. Like,
Yeah.
it just gives me like a little bit younger vibe, like something you might see of a college student,
Yeah.
who just got out of the high school, and they might
Yeah.
have been in like an at-risk environment in high school, and then
Yeah.
now they're in a totally different environment in college. It's just a little surprising to see this from somebody his age, who has been out of, I don't know what kind of environment he grew up in, but who has been out of it for so long, being
Yeah.
in the NBA. So yeah, it's just really shocking to me give it, like, I know people keep saying he's so young, but honestly, I would expect this from somebody much younger than his
Yeah.
age.
Yeah, and especially because allegedly to what the details that I've seen, it's like if you start in a beef with a 17-year-old, it's like you just kind of want to go, all right, seriously?
That's
And I
kind of,
don't
yeah, it's kind of bizarre to me. Like,
Yeah, like why would it get to that point? But either way, nevertheless, bouncing back to my Sixers last night, I'm not gonna lie, I was distracted because I was waiting for the Chris Rock special last night. So I was half watching the game. But I kind of wish I had just focused on the game because that special was kind of whack. But anyway, what were your thoughts on them finally getting over the hump with this Bucks win? Because I honestly did not see that win coming at all.
yeah, I knew. Well, when Tobias and PJ went out and we got down by like what, I want to say 20. We were down
I
by a
was gonna say like
whole.
18 or 20. Yeah,
Yeah,
I know
we
that
were
much.
down a whole lot. I
Yeah,
did not see it coming. Now going into the game, of course, I'm being confident. I'm like, especially the way we just went toe to toe with the Celtics coming down to the last shot. I saw us competing with the Bucks,
yeah,
but after we got down by so much, I did not expect them to mentally stay in the game because I've seen them so many times kind of mentally check out when
yeah,
things aren't like necessarily going their way. And James Harden just being a leader, knocking down those shots, doing what we had to do, and just really willing us to that win. And then Joel, he had some questionable decision making earlier, but knocking down that three, Tyrese, just the big three being the big three, even with Tobias Harris going out and PJ, them still. And then Paul Reed came in the game. He was getting some buckets, getting
I
some
know.
rebounds. So yeah, I think that it was a very, very, it was, I mean, obviously for seeding wise, it was a really good win, but just the way that they came back. Now,
Yeah,
earlier in the season, just we were getting down so early for no
yeah.
reason with a lot of teams. But with the injuries that we had to overcome mid game, it was a shock to me that they battled back like that.
I missed what happened to Tobias. I must have flicked because I was wondering why he wasn't in the lineup anymore. And then when I saw, I said, I wonder if it was his ankle or something. But I didn't see what happened. I'm just proud that they came back as close as they did because usually for me, my patience has been real thin with this team this season, just
Mm-hmm.
because, and it could just be my ADHD, but I really do think that what annoys me about them is that no matter how many parts they try to do to help Joel, I feel like every situation they're in a game that they easily lose, and you just want to go, really, like.
Exactly.
And as much as I wanna blame Doc, because 'cause I'm not a fan of Doc, I wasn't a fan of Doc when he got hired, but I just feel like there's a mentality, with this team that sometimes you can't put on Doc. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know if it's Joel not trusting. I don't know if maybe since Jimmy left, he kinda mentally checked on hoping that this team will get better, and he's just trying to work on himself, but and I also don't even care about the MVP debate at this point anymore either with Joel because I feel like we know he's an MVP. It's just
Right.
that when you're constantly surrounded by guys that don't play consistently, it just and he's not consistent either, let's keep it real.
Yeah.
But we know that he has come a long way considering how he just was kinda out there just doing whatever, and he's
Mm-hmm.
finally focused. What do you feel about playoffs? I'm still not feeling that confident about getting past second round at this point, especially with the Celtics never moving from the top.
Yeah. I'm not confident getting past second round either. It's just the Bucks are so strong and so deep, and the Celtics are just so deep and
Yeah.
so strong. Like the depth of those two teams is scary.
Yeah.
And the consistency that their role players play, their role players who are really all stars play, is
Mhm.
just legit. Like I just don't know if we could be that consistent in a 7-game series. If our others can be consistent in a 7-game series with the Celtics and consistent in a 7-game series with the Bucks, I just
Right.
don't see. I feel like we can beat a team like, of course, the Heat. I feel like we can beat a team like the Knicks. I feel like we can beat a team like the Nets, like
Mhm.
whoever, whatever one of those teams are that we might face in the first round. But as soon as whenever, like however the
Yeah.
brackets shape out,
Yeah.
whenever we got to meet a Celtics or a Bucks,
Wings and a prayer, that's all I gotta
we would
say.
need like Joel to have. We would need Joel and James each game to combine for 70.
I'm about to say, I was gonna say 50 would be nice, but yeah, no, you're right.
We
Mhm.
would need Joel and James to combine for 70 because there's gonna be times where Melton shots ain't hitting.
Oh
It's gonna be
god, yeah.
times where Niang, it's gonna be games where Niang shots not falling, Melton shots not falling. It's gonna be games where Paul gonna be getting bodied off the bench. I
Yeah.
feel confident in Tobias. Like Tobias has been consistent We would need production offensively from PJ. We're not
Yeah.
going to be getting that. We haven't been getting that. It just can't be James. It's just outside of James, Joel, Tobias, and
Maxie.
James, Joel, Tobias. I
Mm.
love Maxie, but Maxie hasn't been as consistent as he
No, he
can.
hasn't.
Not
He
all the
hasn't.
time. Like we haven't seen it all the time. And when Tobias playing defense, James getting rebounds,
Yeah.
Joel playing defense, offense. Tyrese don't be outside of scoring. We don't be getting really much from Tyrese.
Right.
So if he's not scoring, then it's just like
Yeah. Then he's just there. Yeah.
exactly all them dudes on the Celtics. They're gonna be playing their role each and every game for the full minutes. The Bucks. It's just
I was hoping that Joel was actually even going to be petty and sit in the middle of the field like Giannis did last year, which I thought was really disrespectful after they
yeah,
won. Because I was just like, please, Joel, if you think about it again, next
right,
time y'all are there, you got to sit in the middle of the court and just sit there and be like, you know what I mean?
right,
Like 'cause that was the most petty move he had done. And
right.
now I'm not a hater too much on Giannis, and the fact that I do respect him coming up, and he was worthy of an MVP when he won that year. But I just feel like at this point, if they can't get past this mental hurdle, I we're looking at another second round exit, and I hate that because that is the thing they need to get over. But anything could happen. Like I said,
Yeah, anything can happen.
anything can happen. Things can people can get injured. Not wishing that, but I'm just saying this stuff happens in the playoffs because everybody turns it up, and you just never know.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I'm not even going to bring up Ben Simmons, but the only reason why I want to bring him up is because I just saw a recent clip of the Nets doing their circle after a win, and not seeing Ben there just made me laugh, but then kind of sad at the same time because what a fall from grace. That's all I
Right.
gotta say. Between him, I feel like him and Carson Wentz have had the same kind of appeal or and lack of appeal now in this city, and I just find it funny that two of the most very overhyped athletes who we thought was going to take us to the promised land did nothing but a loud thump. You know what I mean? What do you think besides the obvious issues with Ben was really the main problem with him, even with the Nets? Like, what do you think in your eyes was his main issue?
Ben is Ben was is so tough because I mean, Ben, the way he fell off is just crazy. Like I feel
It
like
is.
with Carson, it was a gradual fall off. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
after the MVP year, it was like a slow, like even when Carson went to the Colts, it was
Yeah.
still like we thought in the Colts thought, oh, because Carson being so young, he still could
Yeah.
snap back into form, coming
Right.
back from the injuries. Like we all thought Carson still had something in him when he went to the Colts. After the Colts, of course, we knew it wasn't anything left. But
Right.
I just can't understand. Like, I feel like I could diagnose Carson. Carson just was seen like a narcissist, didn't like, and he was seen entitled, like um, he didn't respect competition.
Yeah.
And we
He didn't want
paid
to
Carson
adjust.
his money. Exactly. We
Mhm.
paid Carson. Even after somebody else won a Super Bowl, we paid Carson. We drafted someone in the second round who was obviously a development quarterback to back you up because you're always hurt. Like, I don't see where Carson saw the threat. I mean, I guess
Yeah.
Carson saw this MVP Jalen Hurts long before everyone else did.
Anybody else?
Like, yeah, like when Jalen came into the league, he was like, we're about to go and find a backup for Jalen. Like, you have every team has a backup. So I don't
Right.
get why Carson felt we made him feel secure in
Yeah.
so many different ways. We literally dropped the bag on you after somebody else won the Super Bowl. But anyway, Carson, I could diagnose. He just seemed spoiled. He seemed entitled
Mhm. Mhm.
to that position. I don't understand what happened with Ben Simmons because I mean Ben obviously never reached like I mean he was still young, but
Yeah.
Ben was all defensive team, all-star level player. Like Ben was that dude. And
Yeah.
it came down to one moment, like in the Hawks game, and
Yeah.
it came down to one moment, and it just seemed like after that one moment, everything unwinded. Like where
Yeah.
so I don't know what was maybe honestly he got his confidence snatched in that one moment. Maybe his confidence was that fragile. I don't
Yeah.
know, but
Yeah.
dudes in the playoffs and on every level, NFL, NBA, college, you get outplayed and or make a poor decision in a moment in a big game. It happens
All the
multiple
time.
times every year. So I don't get why that one moment really derail his career. But shoot, it's tough. I guess I don't know. Like, I really don't know. Like, I don't know what happened to him. He was a dog
Yeah,
on defense. He was one of the best facilitators in the league. Like, he could still be doing all that with the Nets. It doesn't make
right.
sense. It really doesn't. Like, I can't understand him.
Yeah, it's the biggest quandary, and I think that honestly, what's sad about it is that knowing that as many times as people try to say him and Joel couldn't play together, they clearly could, but there was something that
Exactly.
changed. That's what I'm with you. Like I feel like even after the year that they had Jimmy, I don't know if that was the beginning of the end or what, but something didn't rub well after that, and that kind of just
Mhm.
to me was a sign of the end, I guess. But it's just amazing to me. But also too, before I wrap, birds of a feather, just like I like to get new voices on. I wanted to know how you grew to develop a love for podcasting or even your involvement in sports in general, like because I hear a little twang in your background, so I'm thinking like you gotta be a southern girl because you seem like a little southern belle with some sass. So I'm trying to figure out like because I probably have asked you because I know I jumped on one of the podcasts with my boy Tim, and that's when I first like started listening to. I was like, she is a trip. I love
You
this
talking
girl.
about Tim Kincaid?
Yeah, and
Okay, okay.
I think I went on the stream, like, or something, and I chatted and stuff, and I remember thinking, I'm like, "She is funny, I like her." So when did your love for this whole part of the sports world come from?
Honestly, I've always been like, before podcasting, I was literally a real life podcast. Like, all we would do in my family and continue to do, like, literally all we do is talk about sports, debate sports, literally.
Nice.
So that's just always been just a part of my life, part of my lifestyle. Like, literally every day, if I'm on the phone with my mama, we can be talking about debating current events, whatever going on. If I'm talking to my sister, if we all together, like, that's literally all we talk about. So I always knew that I always knew that I wanted to have a career in sports. I didn't necessarily know what I wanted to do. And
Yeah.
especially then, podcast wasn't as big back then. And like, the YouTube space wasn't as big back then. But then once I started doing it, I was like, okay, I can, make my own platform, have my own platform, because literally everyone would ever tell me growing up in college, like, you need to have your own show. You need to be doing your own thing, because
Mhm.
literally, it's literally all I do is really just be running my mouth talking about.
That's
I
what
mean,
cracks
it's
me up.
it's literally like one of my only talents. So I'm like, if it weren't this, I don't really know what else I would be doing.
What did you go to school for, and where'd you go?
So I went to NC State. I majored in sports management. Majored in sports management, minor in accounting, because I'm realistic. It's hard out here in
Yeah.
sports, especially right after and like getting internships and stuff in college. So I randomly, I don't know why I was good in my accounting classes. So I was like, let me do accounting, so I can have, obviously starting out doing internships, doing freelance work and all of that.
Mhm.
When I first graduated college, I would be like have my internships in sports and I'll have my freelance gigs in sports, but I was doing accounting full time to pay the bills
Mhm.
until I got like my full time job and all that. So
Mhm.
it definitely is like, I wouldn't say it's hard. I mean, a lot of things are hard,
Yeah.
but it's definitely it's because this is what I tell people, because people ask me all the time. Sports being seasonal, a lot of opportunities, especially starting out and early
Mhm.
on, is going to be seasonal positions.
Right.
So you usually have to have multiple gigs, especially starting out, because if you're working or if you're doing something with a basketball team or a basketball league, usually those positions are going to be seasonal. So then
Right.
when it's not basketball season, you have to have other stuff to do, other stuff to fall back on. So that's what I always tell people, like, just to have multiple things going on. But yeah, I did sports management. I didn't know when I was in college, I didn't know exactly what I was going to do with the degree.
Mhm.
I just, had sport on it. So
That's what I felt. Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, yeah, I wasn't always into sport. I grew up in a house that my dad, when my parents were married, were always screaming at the TV, so it kind of was inevitable. But my dad was a lover of all sports, but I think I was more into the arts realm, and I think what crossed over was the year before, or whatever. Excuse me. The more that Donovan McNabb started picking up and becoming like the quarterback, it
mhm.
became that time that I'm like, I'm really intrigued, and then it just became a tool to kind of just cure me of boredom. So it just
Right.
became, I just grew to respect it and honor it. And the very few male friends I had that appreciated it didn't think I was serious at first. And now it's just
Mhm.
like, I'm the only person that will watch a game from beginning to end and the post show. Like most people be like, why are you still watching? I'm like, because I like this stuff. Like,
Right.
so most of my girlfriends are always, when they watch a game, they're just there just because it's a social thing, but they'll be like bored halfway through and I'll be like, stop talking. Like
Right.
seriously.
Same.
Like I gotta focus. So but no, that's awesome. So I assume are you from North Carolina or you just went to school for North Carolina?
So I'm from North Carolina. My family is from DC. So that's how I
Mhm.
became Eagles fans and whatnot
Nice.
because, all my family, they're NFC East fans. They're from Washington, DC, but
Mhm.
it's like split. Commanders,
I was about to say.
Dallas,
Yeah.
Eagles. We don't have that many Giants fans in the family, but pretty much my whole family on both sides, because my mom's side of the family and my dad's side of the family are both from the DMV. So they're all NFC East fans. And I
Mm.
don't know why when I was a kid. Honestly, I don't even know why because my dad is a Commanders fan. I don't know
Mhm.
why I gravitated to the Eagles, but
Thank God.
right.
We need
I
more
mean, I'm
females
sure
over here.
I had some sense my whole life,
I'm
but
saying, right.
right.
Because we always know about the people on the East Coast that are Dallas fans, and I still don't get it. I get,
I don't get
you
it.
know,
I
they
really
want to be
don't.
first. They're America's team. I don't care. I don't care.
Right.
You ain't from
I really
there.
don't get
Anyway,
it.
I guess I'm a purist, but no, but I'm glad you made time because like I said, hopefully in the future, like I said, even with the new season, I hope to talk to you again more because like I said, it's always reassuring to be around fellow females who really
Right.
enjoy sports and not just saying like, oh, it's cute, so I can get a cute little dress. Like they really follow it.
No, that too.
Yes. Well, yeah, of course. No, I'm not gonna lie, that's great, but it's not just for the look, is I'm over here.
Right.
I'm seriously, but no, but thank you for joining Birds of a Feather and what plug your Instagram or anything people can follow you because I'm sure you're gonna have more followers.
Okay, yeah. Symone with the sports, Symone. With the sports, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. And yeah, I definitely have to have you on my YouTube as well.
I would definitely love to join you because I'm telling you, you see, sometimes I repost you on both my pages because I just like Simone knows her stuff. I said, "What she say today?" I repost it on the stories because even my friend Eddie, my co-ed, he's just like, "Yeah, she's cool," and I was like, "Yeah, she knows her stuff." So hopefully you will come and join us on the co-ed edition as well. I've never had three people on the same thing because usually
uh,
me and Eddie kind of take our own thoughts, but I would definitely love to have you back. So
yes, of course. We got to.
yes, and looking forward to it. Fly Eagles fly. And like I said today, I think the draft, the combine today has OL. So we'll see who I guess
Yeah.
looks good on the offensive line. Because Lord knows we know Lane ain't gonna be there forever, and we
Hmm.
still know what's going on with Kelsey. But
Right.
anyway, but I appreciate you for coming on, and for all those who are watching, thanks for joining. Birds of a Feather. She's Simone. I'm AJ, the Suburban Princess, and we'll see you later, kids. Bye.